What is up, guys? Team Yugi Fails here with another deck profile, and I'm going to be doing another Sky Striker list. Now, why am I doing this? Because I got first place at my sneak peek with my Sky Striker deck, and I did a couple changes to the list that I ended up showing you guys a couple days ago on the channel, and I wanted to kind of showcase it. It's very similar, don't get me wrong, the deck is very similar to the other list. I just did some changes that I felt were necessary, and it was definitely worth making. The changes helped out a lot, and the deck functioned very well. We had 29 players, and there were 5 rounds of Swiss. Round 1 was pretty good. I believe. Let me actually check, because I'm going to forget my matchups here, and I know I have them written down, and I want to be able to read them to you guys so you can actually see. So round 1 was Paleo. I ended up 2-0ing that. Round 2 was Salamangreat, and I beat that in game 3, so that was a 2-1. I played against True Draco in round 3, and I 2-0'd that. Round 4 was the Block Dragon Burning Abyss deck, and he mixed Orcust in there too, so it had even more explosiveness, and that was a 2-0. And then round 5 was against True Draco, and that we ended up drawing, so I ended up getting first and he ended up getting second. Me and him both ended on records of being basically 4-0 and 1, so we ended up getting a tie for first, basically. But it was pretty good, solid event. I think that it was definitely a lot of fun to play in. But I'm just going to show you guys this list so you can see it. So of course we're playing the 3 Raise Bay. You got to play this. It's too strong. Then we're playing 2 Ash Blossom and 1 Ogre. After playing yesterday, I'm probably going to up this to 3 Ogre and no Ashes at all, because Ash is just not worth playing right now. In the main deck, Ogre is probably the best hand trap going into this format from what I found yesterday. So definitely play the Ogre. That's all the monsters, though. That's all that you need. Then for the spells, 3 Engage, 3 Widow Anchor, 2 Shark Cannon, 2 Area Zero, and then for all the 1-0s, we play the Afterburners, the Jamming Waves, the Multi-Roll, the Hornet Drones, the Hercules Base, and the Eagle Booster. Multi-roll got popped at least once every single game. I was able to add it back in multiple ways, which is cool. Obviously, it's still a struggle when they pop it, but I clearly did fairly decent yesterday, so it wasn't too much of an issue that multi-roll got popped. And on top of that, with one of the new cards that has come out in Rising Rampage, it makes it a little easier to keep getting your multi-roll back, and that card is Barricade Borg Blocker. Basically, you can discard a card from your hand and add either a continuous or a field spell from your graveyard to your hand, and his requirements are literally 2 monsters with different names, so basically what every Nightmare monster's requirements are. And considering the amount of cards you could steal from your opponent with this deck, playing this card is really good, and getting your multi-roll back is really good too. But, oh, sorry about that, I just bumped the camera. But those are all of these Sky Striker spells that we played. Moving on to the regular spell cards, we played 3 Cyclone. This card was so clutch against Draco. Banishing all their stuff makes your life a whole lot easier. It's just so much simpler doing so. 3 Mystic Mine. Card's absolutely busted, but I only resolved it 3 or 4 times, and it was usually against the Draco players, so that was the worst option possible, because against Draco this card does just about nothing, because all they have to do is pop one of their spell cards, and then this is gone, and you just kind of don't have Mystic Mine anymore. But we played 1 Terraforming, which is pretty self-explanatory. 1 Set Rotation, which I never resolved once. Honestly, after how Mystic Mine went yesterday, I'm contemplating taking it out as a whole. It just didn't do an excessively large amount of work for me. Wasn't that it was bad or anything. It was decent, but it just wasn't anything that I really needed. Then we played 2 Foolish Burial Goods and the 1 Metal Foes Fusion. That's kind of simple and understandable. Most people are doing this. This card's great to just shuffle back from your grave and draw a card, and then obviously either using Foolish Burial to dump Metal Foes Fusion or Engage or whatever other card you need in grave is really good. Then we played one double or nothing. I resolved this combo once against the Burning Abyss Block Dragon player in Game 2 to secure that 2-0 victory. It's pretty good. I only resolved it once. Same thing with Mystic Mine. I'm contemplating taking it out and just like running a pure striker list, but it's still pretty good. One Upstart and one Rhoda. I think that this is just too good. Being able to just get more resources from your deck as well as more spells in your grave is awesome. Those are all the spells, though. We'll move on to the traps. We played 3 Impermanents and 3 of There Can Only Be One. Both of these cards were very, very powerful. Impermanence was great, except I don't think I activated it from my hand once yesterday. Every single time that I used it, I had set it and then activated it on my opponent's turn because there just wasn't a reason to ever use it on my turn. And then There Can Only Be One came in clutch against the Salamangreat deck. It also came in clutch against the Burning Abyss Block Dragon Orcus deck because their entire deck premise is summoning multiple rock monsters, machine monsters, and fiend monsters, and this definitely counteracts that, so it's pretty good. And then we played the one Metaverse for the Mystic Mine. I resolved Metaverse once. It's at 1, you're not always going to draw it, and I hardly drew it, and when I did, it was the only time that I used it. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But that is the main deck. I believe it was 43 cards, if I'm correct. Moving on to the extra deck, though. We played 1 Kugari, 1 Kaina, 3 Shizuku, and 3 Hayate. Obviously, you want to play this ratio. This is a really good ratio. I think I made Kaina during my opponent's turn to stop one of their monsters from attacking, like maybe one time, one or two times. And then other than that, I used it to link off once. I hardly summoned it, but all the other ones are obviously really good. Then we played Security Dragon. This was, like I said in the last video, in case anyone's playing like Black Garden or anything, this card is probably coming out for the Barricade Board Blocker, because Barricade Board Blocker is significantly better. But that's just the simple stuff. I played 1 Hida. I don't think I played it once yesterday. It just wasn't necessary. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good card because Salamangreat is still going to be relevant in this format, whether people believe it or not. Gazelda 1 hurts, but they can still combo off and do crazy stuff. But Hida is definitely still a good choice to have. 1 Nightmare Phoenix. I made this a few times. I just love this card. This is one of my favorite Link monsters. It's just too good. It's just really, really solid. I love all the Nightmare monsters. 1 Ningirsu. Made this twice. One time I sent it south and one of my opponent's cards. That way I could have my Mystic Mine be completely active and my opponent couldn't do anything. And that was the one time that it wasn't against the Draco player and it was actually relevant, which was pretty cool. Then I played 1 Topologic Bomber Dragon. I did not summon this card once yesterday. There wasn't every single opportune moment to where I said to myself, I think I should summon this. It was never something that I felt was necessary, but it's still a good card to play. And then seeing we're playing Double or Nothing, we just do the Utopia package. That's kind of self-explanatory. Sometimes you have to cheese your opponent out of a win. But we will move on to the side deck. So we side decked 3 Pankratops. I sided this in multiple times and did not draw it a single time. Does not change the fact that it's still a great card. 2 Ghost Ogres. These are probably going into the main deck, and the 2 Ash are probably going into the side deck, or the Ash are being completely eliminated, one or the other. But at the same time, Ash is still really good. But Ogre is the best hand trap this format, for sure. 2 Droll. Sided this in against the Draco matchups, and every time that I could have seen the Droll, I didn't. I never had like an opportune time to get the Droll and actually use it, so it's a good card, but I just didn't end up resolving it ever. 2 Electric Virus. Card's good, but I just didn't play against any decks that required me to side it in, so it wasn't completely necessary. 2 MST and a Galaxy Cyclone. I'll probably pull these out for Twin Twisters. Don't get me wrong, these cards are really good, but I think the Twin Twisters would have been a little bit better, personally. Then we played 3 Red Reboot. This is pretty self-explanatory for, you know, the trap decks and whatnot. However, with that being said, I personally think that this card does not have to be used. I think that, like I said, I'm pulling out the Cyclone and the 2 MSTs for Twin Twisters. I think I'm pulling out reboots for Sphere modes because I think that they're a little more necessary for the format. But Red Reboot did put in some work yesterday against the Paleo player. It actually won me the game. He had 4 back row set, and he flipped a Deinonychus, and I flipped the Red Reboot, and then he had to scoop because he had, I think he had 600 life points left. And all I had to do is make the Hayate and swing direct, and he kind of saw the writing on the wall and conceded. So don't get me wrong, card's good, but I just don't think it's 100% necessary. But like I said, still a viable option. But that is the deck profile from the sneak peek. Like I said, I got first place with a record of 4 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. Very, very fun event. I definitely want to keep playing this deck moving forwards. I'm kind of bored of a lot of the other decks, so playing Striker is definitely a lot of fun. I'm going to try and put some more cool decks up on the channel soon, so hopefully you guys tune in for that. But if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and this is Team Yugi Fails signing out.